Yes, it's ridiculously cheesy, but you know we all love it. Okay, everybody, today we're going back all the way to 1989 to look at a little film of the martial arts variety that had one of the best crying actors of all time in it. We are talking about Best of the Best. But before we go any further, before we dig into this gem any farther, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
A team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another.
You going number one or number two?
Trust Dad.
Ma, I gotta go.
What does it take to turn 5 uncontrollable characters into one unbeatable team?
Even with my help, it will be difficult, if not nearly impossible, to defeat a team from Korea.
I'm afraid. You need this fight bad. You need this fight for you, man.
I'm here to teach you how to win. Winning isn't a sometime thing. Winning is an all-time thing.
This is the only thing I know I am good at. Don't take that away from me.
You can work. You can sweat. You can train. You can dream and never be better than good. But when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Someone who knows, someone who wants to win. Only the strong will survive. Reach for the best you have within. There is no compromise. You have to stand up and fight when the challenge is right. Through the tears and the pain, still the glory remains. You see the vision in sight. Put yourself to the test. Be the best of the best.
I'm gonna take your head off.
Okay, this motion picture was directed by Bob Radler, or Robert Radler to his friends. We're talking about he did Best of the Best too. He did TV series like, VIP and Silk Stockings and Hercules and LA Heat and High Tie and the Power Rangers stuff and the Police Academy, the series, and Sweet Valley High. And he also did music videos, for like the band Survivor and for George Thorogood. Keep that in mind when we get to the summation section. That's going to play a factor. Playing one Alexander Grady, Eric Roberts. Let's take a walk down Eric Roberts Lane. We're talking about the Pope of Greenwich Village. We're talking about Runaway Train and Star 80 and The Dark Knight and The Expendables and King of the Gypsies and the Ambulance. And of course he was in Best of the Best too, and The Specialist and The Prophecy 2 and Hunt to Kill, and honestly more TV shows and straight-to-video flicks than I could ever even count. I mean, he's in something every other day. Anyway, long career, let's keep rolling. Playing Coach Couzo, or Mr. Couzo, the one and only James Earl Jones. Do we even really have to? Let's run the numbers. We're talking about The Great White Hope. We're talking about The Hunt for Red October and Field of Dreams and Conan the Barbarian and Coming to America and Swashbuckler and The Greatest and A Piece of the Action and Blood Tide and voice work that goes on and on and on. Everything from The Lion King to, well, you know. Anyway, let's keep rolling. Playing Tommy Lee, Phillip Rhee. What? Yeah, of course he was in this. He was in Best of the Best 2. He was in Best of the Best 3. He was in Best of the Best 4. He was in Silent Assassins and Hell Squad and LA Street Fighters and Crime Killer. And he was even one of Klon's guards in Kentucky Fried Movie's A Fistful of Yen. So, out, about, on the scene is what it is. Playing Travis Brickley, the late Christopher Penn. Let's run some numbers. We're talking about he was in things like Reservoir Dogs and True Romance and Footloose and Shelter Island and Mulholland Falls and At Close Range and, of course, Pale Rider. What? Yup. Yeah. The Wildlife, Rumblefish, Rush Hour, The Florentine. He had a pretty impressive list on his resume. That's all I can say. And playing Catherine Wade. Wait. Playing Catherine Wade. Sally Kirkland. Let's do this. We're talking about she was in stuff like The Sting and JFK and The Way We Were and Private Benjamin and Hometown USA and Fatal Games and I the Stranger and Paper Hearts and Guns and Lipstick, Bruce Almighty, Big Bad Mama, and every TV show. I mean, Valley of the Dolls. She was on every TV show. She's cropped up everywhere. Anyway, Sally Kirkland is what it was. And there's a group of other names in here I think we should just touch on and acknowledge as, well, they were in it. We're talking about Louise, Fletcher. We're talking about she was in stuff like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Invaders from Mars and Simon Rhee. Come on, he was a stunt belt. He popped up in Red Belt and Blade. He was actually Phillip Rhee's brother, so there you go. He was James Liu. Come on, The Perfect Weapon, Big Trouble in Little China. You name it, he was in it. John Dye, he was on TV for years. Touched by an Angel, Tour of Duty. Tom Everett, the assistant coach, he was in Air Force One and Dances with Wolves. And John P. Ryan, we are talking about everything that was cool back in the day, from It's Alive to Future World. So, there's a bunch of little faces, a bunch of little names. Nobody too heavy duty other than, obviously, Eric Roberts and a couple of others. But there was a lot of people in this that you might recognize. Okay, everybody, we're going to do this in 90 seconds or less so we can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, and sooner or later we'll roll right on into the summation. Anyway, this motion picture starts out, you got one Alexander Grady, and he is working in an automotive factory. Whew, isn't that kind of cool? He seems like an up kind of guy, always happy, always got the good vibe going, friendly with everybody he works with. Well, he's leaving work one day, and as he leaves work, he gets a note at home. What does the note at home say? Mr. Grady, you've been offered a chance to try out for the U.S. karate team, to go to Korea and take on their karate team. Well, Taekwondo, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, it is what it is. He sits down, he talks with his mom. His mom says, your shoulder is junk. You can't fight nobody. You're held together with pins and fake cartilage. He's like, Ma, I've got nowhere else to go. And, well, he goes and talks it over with his kid, and he is off to the races. At the same time, you got this guy, Tommy Lee, and he is a teacher at Taekwondo school. And he gets the same message. Holy sheep shit. I'm going to be invited to fight for the same chance to be on the U.S. karate team. Anyway, I'm slurring over my words. Let's keep going. Next thing you know, they're at the tryouts. You see everybody there. You got Alex Grady. You got Tommy Lee. You got Travis Brickley, who's like this guy from, Texas or something. I don't know. And you have all this cast of characters, and you can tell within 3 seconds who is going to be on that Olympic karate team. Well, Coach Couzo says, aha, these are my fighters. Well, one of the business people on the side says, do you really want Alexander Grady? He's kind of crippled. He ain't going good no more. He's like, I know what I am doing. But the men in charge say, you know what? You're going to have a new assistant coach. She's into Zen. She's into Buddhism. And she's going to work on your team whether you like it or not, is the way it is. Movie progresses. The boys go out before their one last big night on the town. Of course, they have your obligatory bar fight scene where the coach comes in, watches, has himself a good time, is what it is. Before you know it, the boys take off, and they are now in serious training. Cut in some montages of the Korean team training in waterfalls and all kinds of crazy shit. It is what it is. At that point, you see that they're showing the guys. These are the guys you're going to fight. You are fighting this one, and you are fighting that one. You are fighting this one. But there's a problem. Tommy Lee. We find out that the guy he has to fight killed his brother in a tournament years ago or some shit like that. Is what it is. Well, the coach, he's driving these guys hard. He's really running them into the ground. He's like, you're going to be the greatest fighters ever, or you're not going at all. Is what it was. Before you know it, though, Alexander Grady's kid gets hit by a car. He's in a coma. He's got a broken leg. He's got to go home, and the coach kicks him off the team just for that. Well, the rest of the team isn't happy. They're not thrilled, but is what it is. Grady leaves, comes back. Coach won't let him on the team. Then before you know it, he's pushing. He's pushing Tommy Lee too hard in training. The coach, that is. Tommy Lee hits the freak out button and he leaves. And him and Eric Roberts, Alexander Grady in the parking lot say, hey, we got to work this out. We got to see. Tommy Lee goes off into a beautiful montage motorcycle riding scene. And the rest of the team finally pulls together and they say to the coach, we got to have those guys back. Well, the assistant coach at that point did some digging. And she found out that Tommy Lee's brother was killed by this Daehan character. And she's yelling at the coach, where the coach confesses. He says the only reason his brother died at that tournament is because I was the coach of that team. And I was a shitty coach. And I was too easy on these guys. And they went in there and they got the shit beat out of them. And one of them got killed. And she goes, oh, wow, this is horrible. Before you know it, the team reunites. And off to Korea they go to take on the almighty, well, Korean karate team. And they have the big match. And everybody's beating the living daylights out of each other. And there's a, well, I'm not going to give you the exact tail end of the motion picture, but you get where we're going. Anyway, is what it is, was what it was. Let's go to the summation. Okay, everybody. Does Best of the Best work? Yes, Best of the Best works. We all loved it. We all enjoyed it. We all had a good time. Does it have flaws? Well, let's get there. Before we do, let's get the big three out of the way. We're talking about the directing. It's solid. It's good enough. But it's very 80s feeling directing. I mean, you know you're watching a movie that was made and produced in the 1980s. There's no way to escape that. It's in every scene. It's in every montage. It's all over this thing. It has an 80s look. And by that I mean it's over-stylized. There's way too many scenes that are filmed with dark rooms, with one shaft of light, with some smoke that comes out of nowhere. You don't understand why it's there. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but it's stylized. Everything is like that. Think of comparing Rocky 1 to Rocky 4. This is much more in the Rocky 4 vein, just the way it goes. The writing. Come on, man. It's a karate martial arts flick. It's not got carried away. The writing is good enough for the kind of motion picture it is. It's solid. It moves you from place to place. It's not amazing, but it's good. The acting. Well, you got some heavyweights in here. You got some good actors. I mean, come on. Everybody in this thing of the star variety knows how to act. Eric Roberts can act. It's just the way it goes. I mean, cries a lot in every motion picture he's in, especially this one. But he knows how to act. James Earl Jones is a legend. Let's knock off the bullshit. It is what it is. And Sally Kirkland handles herself extremely well in this motion picture. So your main stars do really good. Even Phillip, who's not an actor, really. He's a martial artist. There's more, we'll get into that. But he carries his weight and he does fairly well. Everybody else just kind of filters in and does what they're going to do. Yes, they're all cartoon characters and we'll get into that. But they filter in and they do what they're going to do. So for this kind of motion picture, yes, it works. All right, so why am I recommending Best of the Best? Simply because it is what it promises to deliver. There's enough action, there's enough good feelings, there's enough good vibe, there's enough of a story, and actually there's enough of likability with the characters to make you care about the outcome in the end. It is what you would get from a Karate Kid. It is what you would get from a severe Rocky ripoff. You would get that kind of feeling, and this is what this motion picture gives you. Are there bumps along the way? Yes. Is it done as well as some of the others? Probably not. But it still delivers on that feeling, that camaraderie, that mission, that reaching up from the underdog from underneath to take on the insurmountable odds and somehow coming right to the precipice of victory. And, well, I'm not going to tell you any more past there. But you walk away from it with that feeling, that vibe of, hey, look at these overachievers who had no business taking on this team, reaching their goal, even if winning and not winning is, which I don't want to tell you what happens, but it doesn't matter because they won morally, internally, whatever. You get that sense. You've seen that movie over and over and over again in sports movies, from this to comedies like Animal House. You see the underachievers that somehow rise to the occasion and rise up and become friends, and they unite even though they're all from incredibly different backgrounds, and they go on and persevere. It gives you that. And you're rooting for them at the end. And you have that little tug in your heart saying, yeah, 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 they did it, they did it, they did it. That kind of stuff. You get that from this motion picture. So, for what it is, a martial arts 1980s flick, it gives you what it's supposed to give you. Now, are there problems with the motion picture? Oh, well, shit, yeah, let's go abound. As I said before, it's extremely 80s. It's extremely 80s. It's over-stylized, way over-stylized. I mean, like I said earlier, everything is taking place in a cinematographer's show-off zone. You know, rooms are overtly dark, shafts of light are coming in, smoke is in the room for no apparent fucking reason. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. And because the director started off making music videos, there's parts of this motion picture where it feels like you're just watching several montages of music videos. It's just the way it is, kind of like they did in Rocky IV. You know what I'm saying? You're going through this thing and all of a sudden it'll be music in the stereotypical montage. Music in the stereotypical montage. Music, and here we go again. And they're all filmed in that over-stylized vibe. And this movie is not exactly original by any stretch of the imagination. There are shots in it that are right out of Rocky. I remember when they're having the big fight at the end and everybody's sitting at the bar watching the fights, and you're like, that's the same camera angle, for Christ's sake, from Rocky. And then you see things like, you know, Chariots of Fire as they're running on the beach. There's so many little scenes in here where you're like, okay, they copied that, they copied this, they copied that, they put in a bunch of music videos, they had a big fight over in Korea, and there you go. It's not original. It's not shot originally. There's nothing that's going to set you back and say, oh my God, this stands above the rest in such a miraculous way. No, but it still delivers on what it's supposed to deliver. So if you can get past the cheesy 80s music, if you can get past the over-stylized cinematography, if you can get past the fact that it's not original by any stretch of the imagination, if you can get past the fact that except for the Rhee brothers, oh yeah, Daehan and Tommy Lee are brothers in real life. It's Phillip Rhee, it's Simon Rhee, and their father was Jun Rhee, father of American Taekwondo, you know what I mean? The big, you know, name in the field. So he's a legendary status-holding guy in the Taekwondo community. It is what it is. Those guys looked good on camera doing the martial arts. Everybody else, marginal at best. I mean, let's be honest. These were actors trying to look like martial artists, and then you had a couple of martial artists trying to be like actors. And when it came to the fight scenes, the martial artists trying to be like actors pulled it off entirely better than the actors. I mean, I don't know what the whole Alexander Grady thing was, and it was one of those kind of things where you're looking at all the actors saying, okay, they selectively shot their scenes from certain angles with certain one or two moves to try to make it look like these guys were better than what they were. And then they really lavished when the Rhee brothers would go to town and do their shit. I mean, there was an obvious, clear difference of what you were seeing. All right, everybody. If you can get past the Cobra and Rocky IV cinematography, and you can get past some of the unoriginality, you're going to find a little movie that has a warm heart, that keeps you interested just enough, and has characters that you're rooting for. By the way, every character is a cartoon. I should point that out. They are cartoon characters. Every character is a cartoon. You got like the bigoted guy. You got the really good-hearted guy. You got the Zen Buddhist guy. You got the Italian street guy. They're all cartoons. They're all cartoons that you maybe can latch into one of them and say, hey, it kind of reminds me of me or something. But everybody in this motion picture is a cartoon. So if you can get past that too, you're going to find a little heartwarming story about a bunch of dudes overcoming the odds and living out their life's dreams, even against every conceivable odd, in a way that probably would never happen in real life. Just the way it goes. All right, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger. Be there for a friend. And above all else, no matter what, never, ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.